Hi, and welcome back. And today, oh yeah, and Happy New Year. It's already been a week into the new year. How awesome is that? How are you guys doing? I hope all is well. We're going to talk about The House of the Stag. Whoops, 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 whoops. By Kage Baker. This is book number 2, The Anvil of the World. So you may remember my review of The Anvil of the World. This is part 2, and there is a third book, which I haven't read yet. I'm still working on it. So this one, The House of the Stag, deals with a character from The Anvil of the World, the Master of the Mountain, or the Lord of Darkness, as he is known in The House of the Stag. So if you remember this review, there was a guy in there named Lord Ermenwyr. He was half demon and half angel. This book is about his father and his mother and father. Yay, we get to learn where they came from. So I enjoyed this book. I'm going to tell you that right off the bat. I like Kage Baker's writing. When I finished the book, I just smiled. I was just so happy. I don't know what it is about the storytelling, but it just made me happy. I was like, that was a nice visit to this world. So, the Lord of the Mountain's real name is Gard. Isn't that funny? Gard, Gard. And this book talks about him from when he was born, basically, until adulthood, until he had his first 2 sons. And the second of those 2 sons is Lord Ermenwyr, like I said, from this book right here. So Gard is he's half Yendri and half demon. So demons in this world are not like demons like you typically think of. Like, they're not out there doing bad stuff. They can, but they're not necessarily, that's not what they do. They're almost like a different race of beings in the world. So if you'll remember from the Anvil of the World review, there are different ethnicities, different races, different cultures in Kage Baker's world. And demons are just one of them. And so Gard was found laying out in the middle of nowhere by a couple who just happened to be doing their foraging or whatever for the day. They found him, they took him in and raised him as their own. He was treated just a little bit differently, simply because they knew he wasn't their son, but they didn't know where he came from, and they couldn't just leave him there. So they brought him into their household. The story is all about his adventures from growing up all the way through some adulthood stuff. Now, I think he's going to live a really, really, really long time simply because he's got that demon in him. And yeah, I don't even know how old he is. Like, the book doesn't say. And Gard was 10 years old when he discovered it wasn't like that at all. It's all about his life and what happens to him and what shapes him into the Master of the Mountain. Starts with their group of people, the Yendri, being ransacked and attacked by a group of people called the riders. They ride these big horrible animals, and what they did was they raided the Yendri villages in their community and took them as slaves to do things for them. Like, in the field, they grew their crops, they did all these other things for the riders. So I don't know if the riders were even capable of doing these things themselves. They just went in and ransacked a group of people, and the book doesn't really explain if they've gone and ransacked anyone else or where they actually came from. But yeah, they're not nice at all, and they keep their people in a dungeon. So they're enslaved people in a dungeon. Gard is not one of those people. So Gard and his mother, or his adopted mother and father, are not captured, but they live in hiding in bushes underneath tree stumps. So big giant tree stumps, they're living underneath there and they're able to hide. They don't have access to all the things that they had access to before, simply because the writers are now there and they've taken over the community. And they typically, what I feel like they're doing is they just work the area that they've invaded to the ground, and then they move on. They weren't given that opportunity here because Guard decided to take matters into his own hands. He was like, I'm not putting up with this. We may be Yendri, but we don't have to be peaceful about this. Let's go and take care of these people. And that's what he started doing. He learned how to put himself into a trance, and these trances aren't like what you think. People think you're in a trance, you're just like, ugh. It wasn't like that. It was where he could exit his body. And while his body is still functioning and he has control over it, he's watching from a bird's eye view what's happening with his body and the people that he's fighting with or whatever's happening. This gives him an advantage where he can defeat his enemies, the riders, rather easily. So he gets a scary reputation that you don't mess with Guard because Guard will take you down. But Guard eventually does get taken as a slave, but it is only because he decides he's going to see what's across. So the Yendri have this idea, or at least through, being enslaved by the riders and talking to he's almost like an angel who comes, and they call him the Star because he's got silver eyes and he's just, glowing and all this business. So they call him the Star. And I'm rambling. I know it'll all come together. He takes in disciples and all this kind of stuff, but he introduces Guard to other hunters, other warriors, and by reading books. So Guard reads a lot of books about warriors and how they survived and all that kind of stuff. And with the Star, there's like a rumor, or there's a prophecy about someone who is coming, who is going to save the world. And they also talk about a mountain that is way off in the distance. And that mountain you can't get over. You have to use some kind of a spell, some kind of a magic spell to get through it. And the disciples and the Star don't have that spell. So Guard decides, I'm going over to that mountain and I'm going to get over it and see what's on the other side. Because y'all keep saying there's green grass over there and it's the way that we as Yendri used to live. I'm going over there to check it out. I don't care what you say. Well, Guard wasn't prepared for this. He didn't know that it was going to be, he didn't know how to protect himself from the elements, not realizing that all the way up in the mountains, it's very, very, very cold. And he doesn't have what do you call it? Like he doesn't have a parka, right? He doesn't have winter clothes. They're people who live in a nice climate, temperate climate. It doesn't get freezing cold and that kind of thing. So he doesn't know what to expect. And he goes up there and he doesn't get very far. He gets up to the top of the mountain, but he doesn't get very far. He can't see over it, that sort of thing. I just bumped my mic. I'm sorry. But when he's up there, he gets captured. So there's a group of people that live in the mountain. Now, these people don't know anything about that. Okay, they just think they got to break through the mountain and get on the other side and everything's going to be great. Well, Guard gets attacked and captured by these people and enslaved by them, which is really sad and kind of ironic because he was fighting those people, that the riders who enslaved his people. Right? So now he's enslaved and he has to do stuff like make sure that the residents that are underneath this mountain are heated properly. So there's this big thing that they have to turn and keep it heated. He gets to do all kinds of different things. I say gets to, but he gets moved along within this environment and learns all kinds of different things. Okay. And at one point, he learns some stuff about being a mage. Now, a mage is kind of like a wizard or a sorcerer. So there are songs that these people learn. So the star and his disciples learn songs, and they do things. They can make you invisible to people and that sort of thing. Guard learns the song to take down the mountain. And so he sings that song and crumbles the mountain and escapes. Yay! Guard escaped again! But now he has to figure out what he's going to do. How is he going to maintain his freedom? And Guard has learned how to use a glamour over himself. So he can become or look like anybody. So he picks, whatever's popular in that area, he'll pick a disguise for the purpose of that area. Well, Guard, it learns about different peoples, different races of peoples, different cultures that those individuals or those races or ethnic groups have. And he takes all this stuff in. So he doesn't just observe it and then forget about it. He takes it in and learns how to use it to his advantage. And that's how he becomes the master of the mountain or the Dark Lord. I'm not going to go into all the different things about what he did to become the Dark Lord and all that kind of stuff. You just have to read the book for that. He does get introduced to the prophesized individual who is supposed to save the world. She is kind of like an angel, and she is brought up in a semi-religious type of environment, not like nuns and stuff like that, but she is brought up to learn how to use her powers, what she's able to do, and she ends up meeting Guard. And yeah, sparks fly, kind of. I'm not going to go into all of that, but we learn about Lord Ermenwyr and his brother and where they come from. Guard is definitely their father, but I'm not going to go any further into that than I've already gone. I don't want to give up the whole story, and then you'll be like, "Well, why should I read it? He told us everything." No. Great book. I enjoyed this very much, and I cannot wait to read the third book in the series. The third book in the series is called The Bird of the River. So this will be the next book in the series and the last book in this series. And I'm going to be reading that at some point, hopefully this year. And when I do, I'll do a review for you. The storytelling was really good. I was just like, what's he going to do next? How's he going to get away from these people? How's he going to, how is he going to succeed? Is he going to stay free his whole life? What's going to happen to him? So I was really interested in that. And this story took me there. It didn't give you like the information about what Guard does and who he becomes isn't like handed to you on a silver platter. I started figuring out who he might be in the beginning when he became a mage. I started going, I wonder if, and it turned out to be right. I don't know how that happened, but Kage Baker didn't put it in there like, and he becomes master of the mountain, or he becomes this guy, or whatever. It's not like that. You don't know that until almost halfway through, or past halfway, maybe 3/4 through the book. You start figuring out that's who Guard is, and how the skills that he learned while he was learning how to save his people from the riders, how to escape from enslavement, and the skills he learned there, and the skills he learned as he traveled, trying to remain hidden and not recaptured by those enslavers. It reminded me a little bit of The Count of Monte Cristo. So I don't know if you have read that book, but there's a little bit of that in there, wrongful imprisonment and that kind of thing, and taking your revenge. There's that in this book. It also made me think a little bit of The Alchemist and how the young man traveled the world. So it reminded me of that as well. But I recommend it. Yeah, see if you can find it in your library. It's a great little read. It's a long book, but it's not a slow read. It keeps you interested in it the whole time. It talks about Guard's family, his adopted family. It introduces you to the Yendri, where they come from, and it's almost like it made me feel like it was the beginning of this world, like the fantasy land that Kage Baker created. I enjoyed it very much. It's unfortunate that we won't get any new works by her. Um, she did pass away some years ago, I believe in 2010. I could be mistaken. I will include that down in the description. But it's too bad we won't get any more of those books. But I am going to read the third book in this series. Have no idea what it's about. Can't wait to get into it. But that will happen when it happens, but it'll be this year. Y'all, tell me what you're reading. Put down in the comments. Did you read any of these books? What do you think about them? Are you interested in reading them? Have you ever heard of Kage Baker before? I hadn't. As I said in the Anvil of the World video, I just happened to get a news blurb that told me about that story, and then I learned that there were 2 other books in the series. So I was like, yeah, I love this book. Let's read the other ones. This is a series that I might read again because I just enjoyed being in the world that Kage Baker built. Go down in the comments. Tell me what you think. What book recommendations you have for me? What are you reading? Are you planning on reading anything this year? Go to your library, check out a book there. You can buy books too. I'm not against buying books. I'm just trying to save you some money by testing them out first. And then if you love them, start building your library from there. Okay, your personal library, your shelf, or whatever. Y'all, be kind to yourselves. Be kind to each other. It's always hard coming out of a holiday season. I know that I get a little bit kind of like, bleh, because the Christmas decorations come down, New Year's is over, and now you're back to working into the regular world, right? I don't know what happens. I just get a little bummed out. I'm doing okay this year, so thumbs up for that. If you're not, be kind to yourself, okay? Show yourself some grace. Don't worry that you're upset or you're sad or you're down right now. It's perfectly normal. Don't beat yourself up about it. Just relax, take your time, and you'll get through it, okay? And seek help if you need it. Help is not a bad thing. It doesn't mean that you're weak. It doesn't mean any of those things. In fact, it shows that you're very strong when you seek help for issues that you can't help yourself with. Okay, nothing wrong with that at all. And I don't know how we got on on that topic, but y'all, as I said, be kind to yourself, be kind to each other. Don't know what other people are going through. Okay, and thank you so much for coming, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.